Take it. Got it! Boston wins!
Two legends in basketball analysis with over 70 years combined experience. This is the Bob Ryan and Jeff Goodman podcast.
NBA, some college, a little bit of everything.
You know, what can I say? But it wasn't going to happen here with him. I was okay with it.
Time for the Bob Ryan and Gary Tanguay podcast here on CLNS Media, brought to you by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network. Pick more, pick less with Prize Picks. Robert, good to talk to you.
Yeah, hi, Gary.
Not a lot going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the coaching situation because it's interesting. I go back and forth. I don't know what role coaching plays anymore. I don't know if it's as important as we want it to believe, but there are definitely some coaches that we want to follow in the NBA this year. And I do want to start with the Celtics, and I want to start with Act 3 with Mazzulla. And the last time we spoke about this, none of us really had any idea what he was going to try to do. Like how do you, like Belichick, we said in 2002, he gave everybody, or 2003, 2002, gave everybody T-shirts that had the records of the AFC, and everybody was 0-0. What does Mazzulla do to inspire these guys to defend their title?
Well, that's a very good question, and I'm sure he's going to be consulting whoever he feels he has some respect for in this regard. We've learned that he is a thoughtful guy, and he's not above, I won't call gimmickry, but shtick at times.
Yeah, people. Bob, I don't know if it's shtick or if it's just psychology.
Well, okay, maybe it's one and the same. I don't know. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, the thing is that he was handed the Ferrari, and he drove it. He drove it well, and he drove it home first. And it's an unusual situation in that we've said, and once again, I keep saying I should do the research. It's really easy. That they're all back. It's just there's no. Nobody went for free agency and was signed away, and none of the subs went and got overpaid somewhere else, and they're all back. And are they all going to be happy with at the same rate, or is somebody going to want to play more than he was playing, or what? We don't know. We don't think so. We think we think these guys are all completely composed and selfless in terms of the team, but we're going to find out. And they know the word target will come up. They know they're going to have target and bullseye in the back. So he'll be reminding them that every night is going to be a playoff game for the other team until further notice. That we know is going to have to tell them that, and that's fine. So we don't know in terms of any kind of a.
Let me throw this idea out at you. This is what I would, if I happen to be Joe Mazzulla, and I don't know when I would put this out there, but I would compile the numbers of the Celtics record against the players who are all missing in the playoffs. Because to me, that's the one thing you can say. It's like, and I don't know if Mazzulla says this, but I think it's going to come up this year. Well, did the Celtics beat anybody to get to the postseason? I mean, they did beat somebody in the championship. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And they deserve that. And I know that there people had nicks and bruises and all that, but at that point, everybody does.
Yeah.
But they missed Embiid. Milwaukee with the freak, he was hurt. Miami and Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
So to me, like that's the one.
That's a very good point. What do you do with it? You just say, okay, guys, don't get cocky. You have to walk a fine line between. You don't want to tear down your own accomplishment, but you want to remind them that the other teams might be better suited to play you this year. You don't have to go and specifically spell it out that some people are saying your championship is tainted because you didn't face those guys. I don't think you need to spell that out necessarily. But if there's a way you can remind them that the competition will be marginally stiffer, and will be. And first of all, Philadelphia's, that's part B. That's one thing. And then the other thing is, the fact is that the two teams that you're going to be competing directly with are better on paper than they were when the season ended. That's Philadelphia, New York. And so that's for sure. And in Milwaukee, you're going to have it. Well, just forget that. Stick in your division. So that's that. Yeah, there'll be stuff. There'll be coaching approach, a serious coaching approach necessary. Yeah.
I also think you have to wait and see. Like, I don't know if you pull that out of your bag of tricks day one of preseason. You wait and see how the season's going.
Yeah, see how they react. Yeah, you
got to pick your spots. You get
a feel for them properly during the preseason.
Because when those guys, and you may not even have to say anything, because when those guys are back and they place them in the regular season, like when Butler plays the Celtics, he's going to go off.
Oh, he's got
to go off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to have 40, 50 points. He's going to have a night. So maybe you don't have to say anything. It's just funny. I was sitting there and I was thinking, but the coaching team, I'm like, what does Mazzulla say? Like, what do you tell the kids that have received straight A's and never broken curfew? Right?
Yeah. No.
I mean, that's hard to do.
Yeah, that's right.
That's hard to do. As far as, do you think, how do you think coaching has changed over the years in the league? And is it as important as it once was?
Coaching is important, still important, because the personnel management, the debate, your part, you're a counselor, you're a babysitter, right. You're a traffic cop. I mean, there's different stuff. It's not all about. It isn't about X's and O's. I mean, it is, but it's about your relationship with the players and do they buy what you're selling? That's the number one. That it comes all down to that. Do they buy what you're selling, and can they execute what you need them to execute? This team, and if they had any technical area which you might want to address, guys, we got to clean up. We dodged the bullet. Whatever reference you want to use. Offensive rebounding. We gave up too many offensive rebounds against certain games. We made life hard for ourselves that way. We got to have to dedicate ourselves a little more to the board, not on the boards. Other than that, your defense obviously should be paramount in your scheme. But that's my technical thing. But no, coaching is management of personnel and getting them to buy what you're selling, and that's and he apparently was able to do that.
It's interesting. I've heard people say, well, the coaches now have to placate to the stars. The big contracts make it more difficult for them to manage the players. But then I always remember, and better than I, where Russell would say, Red, I'm not practicing today. And he would sit on the sideline, read the paper, and smoke a cigarette.
Well, Red.
So it's nothing. It really hasn't changed. You know what I mean?
No. Oh, no. When you go back to that, Red, the key with Red was he didn't treat them all alike. And Tommy Heinsohn would explain that. He knew that Tommy could take it. He was the designated scapegoat sometimes. And that you couldn't yell at Kuzi that way. And you couldn't yell at Sharman that way. And you didn't have to yell at Russell for anything, really, So, but as time went on, Russell practiced very little because he was going to be playing 45 to 48 minutes in his mid-30s. So, and that was okay with everybody, and nobody had a problem with that. So now we're going back. You realize Bill Russell retired in 1969, so now we're going back 55 years, 56 seasons, and since he last played. But personnel management, is still the essence of it all, and because there's a million guys out there that can X and O, but it's not. It's about making sure that they get the message that you're trying to send.
Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, you just go against the numbers. You against the numbers, that's it. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. That's right, $10 into $1,000. It's that easy. One Caleb Williams passing yard gets you one win on Prize Picks every week in September. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football season in September. 4 weeks of free wins, 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss the deal on Prize Picks because it's gone when September is gone, when September ends. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long with Prize Picks. Patrick Mahomes, what do you think of this one? Patrick Mahomes for more than 4,300 passing yards. And Aaron Rodgers, listen, he has to really step it up. Aaron Rodgers for more than 3,750 passing yards. Yeah, I think both of those can happen. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, run your game. Are there any particular coaches this season you're keeping an eye on?
Well, and of the new ones, I mean, the most intriguing one is obviously J.J. Redick. Right. And with the Lakers, because of the nature of that team and the fact that he's going to be coaching a 40-year-old on December 30th, LeBron James. And there's all these excessive expectations in LA always now. And LeBron's play in the Olympics is going to whet appetites again. It's going to get people excited because he was the best player in the game.
Davis did well.
And Davis reminded everybody how good he is. And the thing with Davis is how many games you're going to get out of him. And will he be ready to play when you most need him? And that's always the issue with Davis. But they're still not very deep. They're a little deeper. They have tried to address the shooting thing. And that they needed to open up the floor. They have tried to address the shooting thing, including a drafting of the neck to connect the first round draft pick. But Hachimura, I got somebody else I forget. They're trying to load up with shooters, and they should. They're going to be very intriguing to me. Above all, interesting to see how San Antonio develops with Wembanyama and Pop, who is now 70, God knows,
right.
4 or 5. And is he going to be rejuvenated with this, youngster and that possibility? You're going to want to see how they do, of course. But in terms of in our division, got an interesting coach, the new coach of the Nets, Jordi Fernandez. Is it Jordi or Jordi? I'll say Jordi Fernandez, the first native-born, the first Spaniard man to ever head coach in the NBA. And an intriguing international resume, and spent the last 2 years as the associate head coach in Sacramento. And he's got his first head coaching job. And of course, we have a Serb coaching the Raptors, and Rajakovic. And so 2/5 of our division rivals are coached by Europeans. Very interesting. So, but overall, the Warriors are going to be interesting. Can they? Is it over or not? The Klay Thompson thing was messy. Didn't go. Wasn't handled well. I don't think.
I think they've got a lot of mileage on the tires, Bob. Man.
Yeah. So Curry's 36. We saw what he can do in the gold medal game. God, he's the greatest shooter of all time. But they have issues. But
what do you think about Curry?
I can't. Maybe I'm forgetting someone very obvious, but I don't have a prime hot seat candidate necessarily. Right. Because so many of the teams are dependent on getting healthy key players, such as Milwaukee, getting Giannis and keeping him healthy, and can Doc, if he's not, there's a ceiling on what they can do.
I don't know if he's necessarily in the hot seat, but I think Tibbs in New York is always he's gonna feel some heat because they improved the roster, and I think some people look at the Celtics again. What we talked about at the top, I think the perception outside of Boston is that the Celtics might have had an easy path, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So I think Tibbs. They can't go back. They cannot regress.
No. But they just gave him a 3-year contract, And
I forgot about that. So that makes sense. Dolan's not going to pay him. Yeah, he's not going to fire him.
And the players profess fidelity to him in the paper every chance they get. That these guys, they don't care what people thought in Chicago or Minnesota. They like this guy, and they want to play for him. This is what they're telling us. So and it's to a man, supposedly.
Well, so we'll see, but they have to.
That's going to be the opening. That's going to be the opening night. That's going to be the flag raising game. Is the Knicks, and that'll be fun.
Oh, that'll be a blast.
That's going to be a lot of fun. And I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. It's such a good thing that we kindle the rivalry with New York and Boston and Philadelphia.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, if we can begin to approximate the buzz in that building from 50 years ago with the Knicks and 30 years ago with the 76ers, it's going to be a fun season here.
Oh, the regular season tickets will be terrific. There's no doubt about it. There's definitely no doubt about it. If you want to make a memory, you got to go to Game Time. All right. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you all the incredible deals and the great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of seats. You've got the super deal. Don't forget about the super deal. And curated deals. They make it easier to find the best price on great seats. And I think this is so cool is when you click on the ticket, right? You go to the app. If you want to go to a game in Boston, you want to go to a game in New York or Philadelphia, whatever, you go to the city and you click on the game you want to go to, and then they just show you a great, easy-to-read layout of the stadium. And then you click on the seat you want, and then you get a view of the seat right from there. Boom. You know what you're buying. So you get seat views before you buy, and they have the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation, protection, job loss. It's terrific. So toggling here with the Game Time app. Now, this feature shows the total upfront, no surprise fees at checkout, so you know what you're dealing with. You don't click on the button after and you go, wait a minute, what's that extra $20 for? Also, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference for the lowest price guarantee. They have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you up to 100% of the difference. And your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right. Well, that brings us to the passing of a great coach and a man that you covered and a man that I knew from the 1975 NBA Finals with Rick Barry and Clifford Ray. And was George Johnson a backup center on that team?
George Swat Johnson. There were
George Swat Johnson.
That was George Swat Johnson.
George Swat Johnson. Let's see if I can get the rest. Phil Johnson was on that team. Gus Williams?
Charlie Johnson. There were two Johnsons. Charlie was a little guard.
Yeah.
I got one of the most intriguing players on the team that year and instrumental in their playoff success was rookie Keith, not yet Jamal Wilkes.
That's right, Keith Wilkes. That's right.
Okay. And also the guard who 2 winning free throws in games 4, capped his season, Butch Beard. So, and of course, at the top of the food chain, Rick Barry in one of his greatest seasons. So this was this is a fascinating. It's one of the more intriguing champions in the history of the league. First of all, we won't go. First of all, we'll finish it up. They were 48 and 34 in the regular season.
I did not remember that.
They were 48 and 34. They were not, and the heavy overall favorite were the Washington Bullets, who had defeated the Celtics. They both won 60 games that year, and the Bullets beat the Celtics in 6 games in the playoffs. Fair and square, I thought Tommy didn't coach well. By the way, I thought he messed Cowens up a little bit, and I wrote it. And I thought that wasn't.
And we all know what happened there.
I don't think that was Tommy's finest hour, the 75 playoffs. But anyway, the Bullets were heavy favorites with Unseld and Hayes and company. And but it had another good rookie, Phil Smith. Phil Smith, who got better and better as the season went on. He only played 14 minutes a game during the regular season, but he had an increased role in the playoffs. And the thing I remember about Phil Smith, the big 6'4" guard, was his father was a cable car motorman.
Ah.
So he was the real San Francisco kid, that's for sure. They were the coach, of course, was Al Attles. This is why we're talking about them, and himself, a Warrior, first, last, and always. He was a rookie with the Philadelphia Warriors in 1960. He moved with them to San Francisco. Then they became the Golden State Warriors. And when he died 2 days ago, he was still, I don't know if it was on the payroll, but he was in the hearts and minds of anybody, in the organization. He was a lifelong Warrior, and 64 years worth of fidelity to the Warriors franchise in three different cities, really. So a guy who was he was as a player, and this is just and I don't mean to disparage the party of the second part. It's a comparison, okay? He was the exact same player as Casey Jones. I think he was better. He was a more of an offensive threat than Casey ever was. Same kind of guy, same size, same body, same tenacity on defense, the same intangibles, the same good guy quality. But the difference between Casey Jones and Al Attles was that Al Attles didn't get to play his entire college career and his entire professional career with Bill Russell.
Right.
Casey Jones does not get into the Hall of Fame with any other team. It's not even remotely. It's not even a discussion. And Al Attles said he could have. Now, he did get into the Hall of Fame in 2019 as a contributor. So he is in the Hall of Fame. And he didn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, as a player. I mean, no question. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying, for Celtic fans, the frame of reference is he was the Casey Jones 2.0. He was absolutely the duplicate of Casey Jones, but he did spend his career with another team. His coach, now that 75 finals was fascinating. It was the first finals with two black coaches. And then a lot was made out of that. And so that was history right there.
And that was Casey and Al, right? It
was Casey and Al. And Al's Casey's lieutenant, Bernie Bickerstaff, there was a moment when they had a timeout and Bickerstaff did all the talking and people tried to read stuff into that.
Right. And
Casey had to carry that with him all the way over to Boston. That didn't mean he didn't know what he was doing. It just the way he was, it was the way they did that particular timeout. Anyway, so Attles coached them to the championship, but that team, they had in the playoffs. I got the run here. Warriors. Okay. Oh, they beat Seattle in 6. They beat the Chicago Bulls with Sloan Van Leer and company and Bob Love and Chet Walker in 7. And then they went in as absolute underdog. But it was a unique, and I'm using that word properly, a unique finals in that it was a best of 7, and it was neither a 2-3-2 or a 2-2-1-1-1. And the reason was the Warriors, the Bullets had home court advantage.
Right.
They were let's see, Bullets. I got them here. They were all right. Whatever. They 50. Anyway, they went a lot. They were at home court, but the Warriors ordinarily played their home games in the Oakland House and the Oakland Arena. Okay, it wasn't available. There was scheduling. It wasn't available at when they needed it. Okay. Right. So now they're going to play in the Cow Palace, the famous Cow Palace, which was among other things, once the site of a Democratic convention. Right. But anyway, I was in there once. I have to say, in the Cow Palace. But if they had the weekend, the games, if it was 2-2-1-1-1, it was going to be, and the 3 games 3 and 4 weekend was Memorial Day weekend, and that building wasn't available either. I'm not making this up. So the Bullets have a choice. The Bullets, excuse me. They're the Bullets. They have a choice. They can go 2-3. They can go start off at Golden State and then get 2, 3, and 4 at home.
Okay.
or have their home game 1 at home, and then go out to Oakland.
Right.
It would be 1-2-2, 1-1-1.
Jeez. Okay.
I'm not making this up. They decided they didn't want to give up game 1 at home. They wanted game 1 at home to get an advantage right away. So it was 1-2-2, 1-1-1 if it were to go 7. Game 1, though they had the home, they forfeited their home court advantage in game 1 to play the game in the Cow Palace at the new date, and they lost. And they lost 101-95, and I remember they were stunned. They destroyed their equilibrium. Now they go out to Oakland for 2 games.
Right.
First game, Oakland wins by 1 point. I mean, the Warriors win by 1, 92-91. And now the next game is 109-101. So now they're down 0-3, going back home. I was present at the games in Washington, but not the games in San Francisco. Okay. So I covered that final 4th game, and I remember it very well. Rick Barry had a great series. Rick Barry's numbers in his 4 games, points assist, 24-5, 36-4, 38-6, and then in game 4, 20-5.
Right.
And the game, as I said, it was a 96-95 game and 2 winning free throws by Butch Beard. Well, they swept them and they stunned them. And one of the keys to the series technically was young, 6'6", 180-pound, whatever, Keith Wilkes. Held his own with Elvin Hayes in the peak of Elvin Hayes'.
Yeah.
And that was key. Without that matchup, he did a terrific job. He didn't let Hayes overwhelm them. So that's their town. Here's their team, their roster. We went over it, but Rick Barry, Jamal Wilkes, Butch Beard, a 2-headed center monster of Clifford Ray, and George Swat Johnson, who nicknamed so-called because he was a great shot blocker.
Right.
And substitute guard Charlie Johnson, another substitute guard Charles Dudley, and that was pretty much the bulk of it. I got to tell you this. The next year, I'm in Oakland, and I buy a T-shirt. They have a commemorative T-shirt for the 75 Warriors. And the entire roster is on your back, okay? And I was going around saying, I'm the only kid in my block with Steve Bracey's name on my back. Steve Bracey was like the 11th man from Tulsa. And then Frank Kendrick out of Purdue. These are so I had that shirt for like 30 years. It finally wore it out. I wish I still had it.
That's a great shirt.
I loved it. I loved that shirt. It was beauuful powder. That nice blue.
Did Barry ever? Did he ever have a year like that following that?
He was in the midst of a good run. Yeah, he did. And then he was in the midst. Yeah, he was. That was year 3 of his 6-year second tenure with the Warriors. He was originally a Warrior in Philadelphia.
Right.
And then he jumped to the ABA.
That's it. That's where you're right.
Very controversially.
He went to the ABA. Who did he play for in the ABA?
He played the Oakland Oaks. He played for his father-in-law. He married the coach's son, the daughter in Miami, Bruce Hale. And he married Pam Hale. And when Bruce became coach of the Oakland Oaks, and he wound up playing for his father-in-law, his then father-in-law. They got divorced after 16 years. He's the mother of the first crop,
right?
And his current wife is the mother of Canyon, who played in our 3-on-3 team in the Olympics. Okay. So, but anyway, Barry's was one of until Larry Bird came along, he was the greatest passing forward that we'd ever seen.
And also the foul shot. The foul shot.
And the underhand free throw, a consummate scorer, and a highly controversial figure.
Let's talk about the personality with him. Because he was complex.
The word arrogant seems to fit. Really?
Yeah.
He was arrogant, and he was a know-it-all, and he didn't suffer fools very gladly at all. And he was a hard guy to coach, I think. And I had a nice, my little tenuous relationship, man. My little was good with him, and I'll tell you, he did a nice thing when in 1976 when the word got out that I was getting off the beat the following year, and we were at the finals the next year. Now, remember, he was doing TV.
Right, I remember him on CBS.
Yeah, right, and he comes over to me and says, "Yeah, I hear you're leaving. I wish you luck and all that." It was really nice, Yeah. A lot of people wouldn't believe that out of him, believe me, but that was him.
Well, I thought he was a very good analyst.
Oh, he knows the game, and he's very, I won't say bitter, but very angry that his personality preceded him, if you will. He could never get a coaching job. He thought he would have had a lot to offer, and people didn't want to hire him.
Yeah,
he was a very, very specific piece of work. I'll tell you that. And so anyway, that team, it goes down as time is going on now, and all these years have gone by. It still remains the biggest single upset, I think, in the finals.
Well, I think so. Yeah,
the Warriors. I mean, the Bullets were such a prohibitive favorite, and the Warriors, and with all these other no names, who were getting time for the Charles Johnsons and Charles Dudleys and of the world, and with the rookie Wilkes playing a prominent role. Now, Rick was the MVP of the finals.
Right.
He wasn't the MVP in the league.
No.
He never was. He never won one. McAdoo was the MVP that year, by the way.
Oh, for the Braves, sure. Okay.
Yes, he was the MVP. And Barry was the finals MVP, of course. But it goes down in history, for the number one biggest upset ever, and B, the two black coaches. And now Attles, becoming the first, the second black coach, because Bill Russell had won, a championship too. But Al Attles, then he went into the front office, and he died. He lived and died as a Warrior from 1960 until he died 2 days ago. And a universally popular man, wonderful, and also what a radio. His voice started down somewhere near his shin.
Okay.
Oh, what a voice!
Yeah,
fantastic voice. Also, someone put a great X out today, and I remember it very well. It said, and he rocked leisure suits. This is the height of the leisure suit, and he had great lapels, and man could rock the lapels.
He could rock the lapels.
Yeah, but
that without question. Bob, did you ever own a leisure suit?
No, I didn't own a leisure suit. I did have bell-bottom pants.
Well, everybody did.
What I'm saying, that's as close as I would get. I had bell-bottom pants, but I did not have a leisure suit. Did you?
No. In Maine? No. Flannel shirts, baby.
Show your time.
Leisure suit in Rumford, Maine? Come on. What are you, nuts?
Hey, I was just up your way yesterday. I was at a group of authors at the Weld Public Library. And
okay.
And Maddie Bujold, who runs it, she put together a panel of 12 authors. 12. And we each spoke for 5 minutes about writing, or hopefully about writing. I spoke about writing. Some of them deviated, but
anybody we know, anybody we may know, anybody from Mexico or Rumford? No.
I didn't know anybody myself, but so a couple people known. So that's some task to gather 12, people, authors in Weld, Maine, on a Thursday afternoon.
No, that's not an easy task.
It was an honor. It was nice to be there.
Yep. Weld, one of the great towns. All right, Bob, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again soon as we remember Al Attles and as we take a look at the coaching situation for the NBA in this upcoming season. We've been brought to you by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network. Pick more, pick less with Prize Picks.